This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode number 165, coming to you live from Pete's Timeout right here on Fort Myers Beach. Of course, video of the show is always available on the Facebook and the YouTube. We are also on beachtalkradionews.com. You can check us out on the Twitter and on Instagram, and you can download our app so you can receive breaking news on everything that's going on right here on Fort Myers Beach, and that's both for the iPhone and the Android devices. Thank you to all of our great sponsors. Every single week, we want to thank our great sponsors supporting businesses: Island Oils, Fort Myers Tiki Tours, Nervous Nellies, Mangaritas, State Insurance USA, Sun Palace Vacations, La Ola Restaurant, Tuckaway Cafe, Blue Ribbon Events, Beach Pottery, Sunset Beach Tropical Grill, and Shuckers. And finally, our longest running sponsor right here, Pete's Timeout. How about a big hand for Pete's Timeout, everybody? Very nice. So we have a live studio audience today. See that? Maybe they do want to listen to the show, dear. You never know.
You are really so loud.
Your mic's not on, so.
It is.
Wait, let's try it.
It is on.
There we go. All right. So
you can't hear me with those on. You look like a Teletubby.
Later on in the show, we're going to talk about the lighting situation. And tonight, we're going to be live from Shuckers from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock because they have their 100th, is it 100th? 100th celebration. And she's going to have a flipper dress on, right?
It's a flapper dress.
It's a
1920s themed party.
So what's a flapper dress, by the way?
It's in the tradition of the 1920s. It's got all this fringe on it. They're typically fringe dresses.
All right.
And you wear a headband with a feather in it. And you might wear long gloves. And then if you smoke, you have this really long thing that's like a cigarette holder.
All right. So we'll be there from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Are you dressing up?
I am not dressing up. I'm going to wear, it's all about the marketing for me. I'll have my hat and my shirt on.
You're going to look ridiculous without
that's fine.
A getup.
And for those of you that don't know, Shuckers is down the road a little bit, right next to the building that's about to fall down, if you know what I mean. So join us from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight. And at 9:30 this morning, we're going to be talking to Jim Hockett, who is a lighting expert, and he's also on the stakeholders committee meeting group that meets to talk about the lighting here on Fort Myers Beach, mostly on Estero Boulevard. Speaking of the lighting, yesterday was a big day on the beach because
the first sea turtle nest. So, and I actually was running down the beach today and got to see it, or one. I don't know if there's more today, but got to see it. And I saw the sea turtle, the Turtle Time people out with their flags looking, for signs of other nests. So please be careful, pick up all your furniture, fill in the holes, turn out your lights. It's turtle nesting season till October 31st.
Okay. And right now we're going to bring on our first guest, Ralph Nudi. And of course, the first question is going to be, is that really his last name, Nudi? And do you spell it Nidie or Nudi? So, all right, Ralph, come on, man. Get down here. Ralph
he's got to get his drink.
Ralph's got to. You can't move anything. You can't move the.
You might want to back up only because.
What do you got in your hand?
You want me to go back here?
There you go. Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
So I heard that you have to appear with a drink in your hand if you're going to be on the show. Is that correct?
Yes. Very nice.
That's his rule.
Welcome to Pete's Timeout and to our show. Who is Ralph Nudi?
All right. So it's Nudi.
All right.
And I've been a real estate agent for about 22 years, and I hosted a radio show in southeastern Wisconsin. And I moved to sunny Southwest Florida just under a year ago. And we launched a video show called Nudi on the Beach, which features the best places to eat, stay, and play in Florida's beach towns.
When you hear Nudi on the beach, the first thing you think of is nude people on the beach. So
absolutely. But it is family friendly. So don't let the name fool you. we've got some gear that we've been giving away, Nudi on the Beach T-shirts, and we started a little line of beachwear as well. And we're just having a lot of fun with it. I have myself, and then I have two lovely female co-hosts who are on the show with me. I started off with one of them, and we were going all around eating dinner, having drinks, checking out all the hot spots on the beach. And my wife said to me one day, I don't know if I like all this business, you running around with this other girl on the beach all the time. So I came home one day and I said, honey, I solved the problem. She said, how'd you do that? I said, I got two girls to run around with on the beach now.
And not her. She's not part of it?
She's not on the show with me. She definitely helps behind the scenes.
Got it.
And is probably my most brilliant creative consultant all the way around. But her passion isn't necessarily behind a microphone or in front of a camera. And that's probably a good thing, because otherwise you just hear me getting yelled at all the time.
What is
like
the,
you.
What is the show? What is the show about? Is it on YouTube, or is it a podcast, or?
It is. Currently, we have some trailers for it on YouTube. We just finished filming our pilot episode, and we decided to film our pilot episode right here in Fort Myers Beach. And so there's a lot of local businesses that were featured in it. We had a little yoga session with Yoga Blue one of the mornings. We did a dolphin wave runner cruise with Mid-Island Water Sports. We featured a couple of local hotels, a couple of local restaurants, and so on. And so the trailer's on YouTube right now, but the actual first episode won't be available till we finish filming the entire first season, which we're putting 10 episodes together as we speak. And then where it will be seen really is a matter of negotiation. We're working with an agent and actually negotiating with several networks and streaming services to bring the show out there.
Wow.
And it's just specific to Fort Myers Beach, or are you going to be featuring other beaches?
It is not. We're going to feature other beaches. However, Fort Myers Beach has kind of become our new home base. We have talked about launching a podcast format being very different from this one. Instead of being focused on local events, more focused on the tourism aspect of things. But we're not really sure about that part's in development. But the show itself is what we're really focused on, which is to put 10 to 12 episode seasons out every year with great video content, great imagery, and showing people that you can go get out of your home, get on a plane if they'll let you, take your mask off, and go enjoy life again.
So
I think people are ready for that.
I'm still a little confused. Is the goal of the show to promote Fort Myers Beach, or is it to promote the fact that you're running around the beach with two women that aren't your wife?
The goal of the show is to promote eating, playing, and staying in various beach towns. Fort Myers Beach is the goal of the first episode. So every episode will be a feature-length episode featuring a different town.
What do you think of my microphone arm here, Nudi?
Your microphone?
Yeah, it's a new arm here. What do you think of that? You might want to get one of those for
That's
your
a great
podcast.
arm.
Yeah,
I like it.
About
I like
$80.
How's he going to carry that around?
Yeah, don't you have like an SUV or an?
I know, but he's out and about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about for podcasting, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You should get a little studio, but
Yep.
not on Times Square, not outside a building.
I'm
It needs to be inside a
going to
building.
camp out 10 feet away from you.
Good
We'll
luck.
have we'll
Good
have
luck with
those.
that.
We'll have a what do you call it? A podcast off.
Oh,
We'll just
yeah.
go back and forth.
And by the way, we will have an update on our inside outside thing next Saturday and next Saturday show. Little
Right.
teaser there, dear.
Okay.
For what we're doing to try and get back outside. We'll update everybody on that next Saturday. But also today, don't forget, folks, we are going to have more trivia, Fort Myers Beach trivia. We have more gift certificates. That's coming up after Jim Hockett and his discussion on the lighting on Estero Boulevard, which really is a death trap down there. Have you ever driven or rode your bike in the dark on Estero Boulevard here in Fort Myers Beach?
I've done all of the above.
Yeah. What do you think of the lighting situation on the beach there?
The lighting situation?
Yeah.
On Estero Boulevard
Yeah.
at night.
Right. That way. Yeah. Right.
It can be a little dark.
Yeah. Very dark. So that's going to be our topic at 9:30. So stay tuned for that. But back to Nudi on the beach.
So now, is this your full-time thing, or are you also doing real
No,
estate?
full time. I still sell real estate for a living.
Okay.
I have for 22 years, and I'm with a national company called EXP Realty, and I actually have team members in about 4 different states that I work directly with. But I'm focusing mostly on Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva, and the southern half of Cape Coral.
Now, you have a Facebook page, and
I
I was on that, and I saw the video clip of the whole pelican thing that happened. Can you explain to people?
Absolutely. So one of my co-hosts.
Well, how long ago was that, by the way?
That was in April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just released that. We just released that footage, I believe, yesterday, and that was just some outtakes from our Fort Myers Beach episode that I said, hey, this is a pretty interesting thing that happened. But we were standing out on the pier waiting for sunset because we were going to do a little video clip of the sunset and talk to the camera. And while we were waiting for just the right time and we were waiting for our drone pilot to swing the drone around, there were a bunch of spring break boys and they were harassing this poor little pelican walking around chasing it. And all of a sudden, my co-host Jen went into beast mode, and just went off on one of those boys. You'll have to check it out on our social media, Nudi on the Beach, on either YouTube or our Facebook, or even on Instagram. I have it on IGTV. But all of a sudden, I heard her say, touch that bird and I'll punch you in the throat personally. And
Wow.
I didn't even know there was a thing going on until that happened.
Throat punch.
And I throat punch. And she's not a big girl, but I wouldn't want to get punched in the throat by either. And I whipped my head around, and there were these boys harassing this bird. And the rest of the story you'll have to see on there. But that was just it was an interesting little clip. So we thought we'd put that out there because we do respect the wildlife. Part of having these beautiful beaches is, you're talking about the turtles earlier, the birds, the fish. That's what we come here for, all the natural resources. So I think it's important that when we're out here that we don't have to be extremists in order to be good guests. And I think that's important that people are good guests when they're out there enjoying everything.
Where was the bird incident?
It was right on the pier.
Really?
Yeah, the pelican landed on the pier.
Pelican. He was just trying to walk, or she was just trying to walk around, and the guy was just, and you could hear people going, touch it. Like, no, don't
touch the pelican.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
How are you making a living?
Selling real estate.
Yeah.
So what, on Fort Myers Beach or everywhere?
Fort Myers Beach, Captiva, Sanibel, Fort Myers.
You were just sitting here a few
I know.
seconds
I'm
ago.
totally. You know
that.
what's throwing me off is like we have the show on the speakers out, and it's the first time we've ever done that. It almost feels like you have an audience now, like you're talking to people that are listening. So it kind of freaked me out that I have to be on my best behavior. So what is the biggest property you've ever sold for how much, and what was the commission on it?
Well, I've been in this for 22 years. I've done stuff from
skip all that part.
$10,000 to $10 million over the course of my life.
$10 million. You sold a $10 million piece of property.
Absolutely.
Have you seen Bill Gates's property? They're getting divorced now. Bill
I saw they're getting divorced.
Did you see the property they have in Seattle? It's like worth $300 million. It has 10. How do you figure this out? It has 10 rooms, but 24 bathrooms. I mean, that would work for me, but I don't understand how you build a house with 10 sleeping rooms and 24 bathrooms.
Well, you figure each bedroom has to have 2 bathrooms. You have to have a his and her suite.
Okay, so
that takes care of 20 of them, and then 4 guest bathrooms for people that aren't staying.
Got it. Okay, well, you're a real estate, and I'm just a podcaster, so I guess that makes sense. So where was your $10 million property?
That was in southeastern Wisconsin. It was a commercial property.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally.
Okay. No,
so
I don't.
I just relocated here a year ago. But I've been selling real estate for 22 years. I've only been selling real estate here for about 5 months.
Okay, so have you sold anything yet here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, house?
Yeah, the market is
houses,
hot now,
condos. Got a commercial deal in.
We don't care about the commercial. Like the houses. Tell us about the houses.
One of the houses that we are actually marketing right now is right on Estero Boulevard.
You're going to try and sell it, aren't you? No. Tell me one that you've already sold. Like the biggest one you've sold so far in the 5 months. What?
It's like guerrilla warfare with you today.
Isn't everybody interested to know how much property is worth? See, one person. Go right ahead and help them out.
The people who are selling are interested.
I can tell you this: properties that were selling for $700,000 a year ago are selling for $1 million now.
Wow.
Properties that were selling for $500,000 are selling for $758,000. There was a condo in Captiva that we just closed on about 2-3 months ago that you would have, 3-4 years ago, you paid $500,000 for. We sold that for $890,000. So there's been a dramatic jump in values. This is, of course, the most moved to county in Florida and the second most moved to county in the entire country right now.
How competitive is the real estate business right now? Does everybody want to be a real estate agent?
That's always been the thing. Everybody wants to be an agent, but to roll up your sleeves, go to work, make the calls every day, all that isn't easy. So I think a lot of people get their license and then they get disenchanted with it, and they get out.
That's what she would be like. She just thinks it would roll in because she has a license and a smile.
I have a feeling Kim would run circles around everybody.
There you go.
You don't really know her that well. So what are your future plans with the Nudi brand there?
Well, we use the same branding for our property. So we have Nudi Properties, Nudi Vacation Rentals, which we're doing vacation rental management already. We have Nudi on the Beach, which is our show. And we have Nudi Beachwear, which I should have worn one of the shirts today, but
come on,
you're really not that good at marketing. If you came on the show, at least 9 people are watching.
Well, we ran out. We gave away 100 shirts when we were doing our last day of filming alone, and we thought that would last us a couple of hours, and it lasted us about 45 minutes. So I had to go back to our suppliers and order more shirts. I literally gave the shirt off my back away that day and was walking around bare chested, which isn't the prettiest sight in the world. Yeah, I don't have those pretty pecs like you do.
How much do you weigh? What do you weigh right now?
About $150.
You weigh 150.
Soaking wet.
Yeah.
So on the show, of all of the places you've been, what are some of the highlights? What are some of the interesting things? What some of the funny things besides the Pelican?
Well, we were going down Estero Boulevard filming myself picking up my co-hosts from the coffee shop down the road, Mojo's. You know where Mojo's is?
Yep.
And she climbs into the back of the Jeep, pops her head out the Jeep with her coffee, bumps her coffee on the roof of the car, and it spills right onto my head as we're going down the road. That was probably the funniest thing that happened while we were filming this last time.
Was it super hot?
No, it was iced coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So nobody was injured.
Nobody was injured. No.
You didn't crash.
We didn't crash.
Good.
No, we had traffic. You couldn't tell when you were watching the shot, but we had traffic blocked off, and we had 2 camera crew people, 1 on each side of the car, getting us from an elevated position. So it was all staged, except for the dropping the coffee on my head part.
Do you own a house on the beach?
No, I live in Cape Coral.
Cape Coral.
I got 3 school-age children who are involved in a lot of activities, and believe me, if I didn't, I'd be right here on the island. But they're involved in so many sports and activities and so on and so forth that it'd be a lot of hours sitting on that bridge for us.
What was your salary last year?
You know the 3 things we don't talk about even on radio, right?
No, what are they?
Yeah, money, sex, and politics.
Oh,
unless you happen to have a Politico show.
Always talk
religion
politics.
and no religion.
And religion too. Yeah, that's right.
So you said you had a radio show in Wisconsin?
I did.
Yeah. How
we talked about all politics and sex and religion there.
Okay, right. Well, in Wisconsin, you're a little freer, right?
Yeah. No, we're freer here. That's why I came down here. The show is called Get Real with Ralph. It was on a local AM station, and we used to have the first hour every episode was current events, and the second hour was always an interview with a local musician. And we'd have them on, and they'd play a set and so on. It was a lot of fun. I kind of fell into it by accident, and that's how Nudi on the Beach was born. It was actually an idea that we discussed there. We were going to do it as a travel show from Wisconsin, and then everything got locked down.
Yeah.
And we decided to move.
What would you call it in Wisconsin? Nudi in the snow? Or you can't call it Nudi on the beach, right?
Well, Nudi in the snow makes things shrink a lot. So we decided not to do it that way.
I thought you said no sex on the show. I mean, there you go.
I didn't say anything about sex. I said it makes things shrink. It's the opposite of sex.
So what's in store for you up ahead here? What's the next planned episode? Where are you going to be? Where can people find you?
Well, we have to keep our future episodes under wraps right now. But again, we have outtakes, we have highlight reels, we have trailers, and we even have some promos of some local businesses that we've done on our YouTube channel, on our Instagram account, and on our Facebook at Nudi on the Beach. That's Nudi on the Beach.
And you're on Facebook.
We are on Facebook.
So people can find you there.
Matter of fact, we shared your show today live to our audience. We've got about 12,000. We just started. We got about 12,000 followers on Facebook and about 13,000 on Instagram and about 2,000 subscriptions on YouTube so far. So we're growing pretty quick.
How did you get all those? Did you buy them or they just came along somehow?
Oh no, you that's the worst thing you can do is buy followers. It won't work. You can buy advertising and get it in front of them, but you have to put out good content.
Yeah.
And if you put out good content and people like the content and follow and interact with it, you're great. A lot of people make that mistake if they're starting podcasting or something like that. They'll buy a bunch of followers from an online service, and then they don't interact. So you know right away that those followers are fake because you don't see anybody liking anything you're doing or commenting or sharing. And those are the real matrices of whether or not you got a successful thing going.
We have to work on our Instagram thing.
We're not really good with the Instagram.
Good with that.
I was terrible with Instagram until a year ago, and I really just kind of dove in and learned how to do it. And now the new thing is TikTok.
Yeah,
and
TikTok videos.
We have an account, and we only have one video on there, and I think both of my followers liked it. So
I don't think we're going to do the TikTok thing because it's a Chinese company, and that's where all the
Chinese people spend money in America too.
Yeah, that's where all the riffraff comes from. The Chinese. That's where you get the viruses and all the other bad things come. Right.
So you're not going to order anything from China anymore?
I will say
when I see something come to the house that says "Made in China," I throw it out the window or I stomp on it. Who wants stuff from China? It needs to be made in America, right? People, made in America.
Remember when you could actually get stuff made here?
Well, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was the last administration.
Yeah. No politics, though.
Yeah, none at all. None at all.
All right. Anything else that we missed that you want to talk about, Ralphie or Nudi? Nudi.
Either one.
I can't believe you didn't bring us free T-shirts. All of our guests usually bring us free shirts.
That's not true.
We even got tattooed last week.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I get my next batch, I will come make a surprise appearance in between guests, and I'll make sure that you guys are all outfitted with some Nudi beachwear.
All
swagged up.
Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Anything we can do to help out, just let us know.
Likewise, my friend. Thanks for having me on.
Right, everybody, Ralph Nudi, a big hand for Ralph. Yay! That is not even an artificial audience there. That is a real audience here at Pete's Time Out. And if any of you are outside eating at Pete's and you want us to shut it off because it's really annoying you, just raise your hand and we will shut it off. That's the last thing that we want to do. So, all right, dear, what are you doing? I don't know where she's going. She's supposed to be reading the ad, but she never, ever listens to what the instructions are when the show starts. She's supposed to turn the microphone on. All right. Are you ready, dear? Are you ready? It's not on. There we go. Just take that. I can't rely on her for anything.
You don't know how to set anything up. All right, everybody. You know what I'm going to talk about. It's Fort Myers Tiki Tours, located over at Salty Sam's Marina, just over the bridge. Give them a call at 239-887-0042 so that you can schedule your tour to go down the bay on an amazing and extremely cute floating tiki boat. They provide the captain, they provide the cooler, you and the ice. You bring your food and drink and 5 of your friends. That can accommodate up to 6 people. It's about a 90-minute tour. You're going to go out there. Hopefully you're going to see dolphins, some manatees. People will be taking your pictures because you're going to look like a rock star on this floating tiki tour. So give them a call at 239-887-0042 and take it away, dear.
All right. Thank you very much. Before we get to our next guest, I want to make sure everybody knows when you have bugs, the last thing you want to do is go out in the yard or go out by the pool or go out on the sand and have bugs crawling up your nose or crawling under your arms or crawling anywhere. You want to kill those bugs or spray them away. And you do that with the folks at don'titchit.com, islandoilsllc.com. Either website, you can go on right now and order a little spritzer or a spray. It's a roll-on. It smells like perfume. It's like an aphrodisiac. Once you spray it on, people will come running to you to want to hug you and kiss you. And at the same time, the bugs will be repelled because it smells delicious. And it is totally DEET-free because the last thing you want when somebody's hugging you or kissing you is DEETs all over you. That's natural stuff, right? The DEETs are DEET-free.
The DEET is not natural. It is the most unnatural.
Island oils.
And you think people are going to run up and hug you and kiss you?
Not me.
Oh, all right.
For
that's
sure.
Not happening.
All natural insect spray made with 100% essential oils. It is DEET-free, no water added. It's Island Oils LLC or don'titchit.com. That's a great name for bug repellent.
And where's it made?
It's made right here. It's not made in China. You're not going to get the virus from that. It's not made in China. It's made right here on the beach. You can also get it at Bait and Wait, Snook Hut Bait and Tackle, for goodness sake, and the Lighthouse Island Resort. All right, everybody.
You're not talking about the pots?
We're going to save the pots for after
Oh,
we
all
do the lighting situation. And I also wanted to make sure we said happy birthday to Megan Heil. It's Megan's birthday
That's
today.
right.
Megan's a big friend of the show, we think, and she's also the chair of the LPA. So happy birthday going out there to Megan. And our next guest is sitting at the bar having drinks. Jim Hockett is he is on the stakeholders. I don't know if it's called a committee or if it's called a group or what is it called, Jim? It's called a
Stakeholders committee, I think.
okay. And you're an expert in the lighting situation.
I'm an expert, Ed. I'd use that loosely, but I've been in lighting for a while.
Talk about the history of what your lighting background.
I mean, I started in lighting 38 years ago, coming next week. So, as a young child, and been working for a couple of companies throughout that time. Stayed with one company for 30 years and did multiple jobs for them, from manufacturing to sales to commercial engineering, and then took a little package from them back about 7 years ago. And then now I work for a large luminaire manufacturer, the largest luminaire manufacturer in North America, actually. So
Okay. And the situation that we have here on Fort Myers Beach is we have one of the busiest boulevards in all of Lee County. Maybe it's the busiest bridge in all of Florida, just like the fishingest bridge in all of Florida. And there are basically no lights. It's basically pitch dark at night. And one of the main reasons for that is not only that our town manager has been horrible in getting that accomplished, it's just we have a situation with the road being so close to the beach, trying to protect the turtles. Turtle season just started. Saw our first nest yesterday. There's a juggling act going on. We're trying to get lights so that it's safe for the pedestrians and safe for the bikers and safe for everybody crossing the street, yet trying to make sure that they're not bright enough that they disorient the turtles. So this has been going on. I mean, where's Bruce Butcher when you need him? I know we both went back to the 2019 meeting and watched where Bruce was ready to move forward on a plan that was presented back then, and the council seems hell-bent on amber lights. That's just what my conclusion was. They want amber lights. And when you look at amber lights, it looks almost as if you can't really see anything more than if it was pitch black. Do amber lights work?
yes, amber lights work. Amber lights do work for the turtles. Turtles are not attracted as much to amber lights as they are to other light sources. So amber lights do work. I think so. And that's why that we specify those, and that's why the FWC specifies them along the seaward areas and perpendicular to the buildings, and it's why everyone has to kind of close their blinds. And it's a valuable resource and a valuable thing to protect the turtle. So yes, they do work. I think the question becomes, where's the delineation between where you need amber and where you don't need amber? Because we could have amber up on Summerlin. I don't think that would help the turtles a whole lot, right? So that's really the question that you have. But amber lights do work in terms of the attraction, or not as much attraction to the turtles. So that's your question.
So is that the only option? Is to get the amber lights, or are there other options in terms of different fixtures or stuff that you can wrap around them, or the height, or what?
Well, yeah, I think again the question is, where are the turtles are being affected by lighting? That's the biggest question. So the study that Ed mentioned, that was back in 2019, and I did watch that and I did read the study, and their analysis and their pretty in-depth study identified 22 fixtures on the island out of a roughly 115 that they said that you could see. I understand the gentleman walked the beach multiple times and tried to identify where those could be seen. Out of those 22 fixtures, they had some direct source contribution to where the turtles could see those and maybe become disoriented. So his recommendation at that time was that some of those fixtures were kind of skewed. They weren't, and it was an older light source where the lamp would hang down below the fixture, and that source was being visible to them. And that's why his position was at that time that you could change those over to LED with a good cutoff. LED is a very different technology. So that's one thing that we have going on here is a technology discussion to LED. It has a very sharp cutoff, so you can really direct the light much better than you can some of those other light sources. So his point was that you could go to LED and then you wouldn't have contribution to the turtles. That was his position at that time.
And you're referring to the study, the MPO study,
That's correct.
The Lee County Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is a very long report.
It was a pretty long.
Did you get through all of it?
I loved it. I'm a geek. I'm a lighting geek. It was great. How
I
did you
started
like it?
reading some of it, and it's tough for the average bear to kind of get through. So
my question is why, maybe you don't want to answer this or can't answer this. Why are we still going through studies and still going through, okay, we have another consultant. I know Ray says this is really our first consultant, but when you look at the 2019 meeting, that person looked like he knew what he was talking about. He gave them options. Well, then they're getting on FPL. They don't give us options, or they're a monopoly and they don't really care. And how come we're still? To me, it looks like this town spends more time on trying to figure out how to get something set up for people that live in the water. 70 people live in the mooring field, and they're working so hard to build trailers under the bridge or find a $2 million piece of property to buy. And it just seems like this road, which is so dangerous, somebody got killed on the road because of the situation, from what Ray said during the meeting. It should be brought up every single meeting. Here's where we are. Here's some options. Here's what's going on. How about the town manager says, I went to Fort Lauderdale, I went to Sanibel, I went to every single beach town, and I got all these reports so you can see them. Instead, we don't see any of that until somebody says, oh, by the way, what's going on with the lights?
Yeah, I think the problem is that there's a lot of conflicting opinions that are going on. Everybody has, there's a lot of stakeholders. It's not just us on the meeting. There's a lot of input from the turtle, the people who are really focused on the turtles, which we all are. I don't know anybody that doesn't love turtles. Right. So I think that's, the first piece. And at that meeting, if you noticed on there, that was the first public comment, was a lot of people from Turtle Time and other people making really good comments about, the need to protect the turtles. Then you have people that, in the stakeholders committee that are thinking about the color of lighting. There's some other studies that have been out there talking about the color of lighting, whether it's a warm color or whether it's a medium or, those really bright 5000 K lights that you see. So you have that faction that's going on as well. And then you have people who are just focused on what the cost is and, if it's, how much is it going to cost and what does FPL take care of it or whether the island does. I think that what happened at that meeting is the input from the public influenced, the decisions that was made at that meeting, and they listened to the consultant, but then they decided that if there is an opportunity to create amber lighting and it to be a good solution for the island, and you could have both, you could have good lighting for pedestrians and traffic and safety and all of that, plus have amber everywhere in the world, that'd be great. So let's go out and get another a consultant to be able to tell us that. My thing is, from a technology standpoint, is I think that's going to be very difficult to do. And the reason for that is all LED is not created equally. So the LED and the amber light that FWC approves, by the way, is actually a very old technology. It's been around for 50 or more years. It is a dedicated violet amber LED. It's actually very inefficient. It is, in terms of, miles per gallon, we measure lighting in lumens per watt. So it's 30 to 50 lumens per watt. It's a very inefficient light. It's actually closer to what you would have a halogen in your home. When you look at a white LED lighting, same fixture, same way of producing light, it would be closer to 130 lumens per watt. So if you went with amber, one thing that we have to recognize is we're a very eco-friendly island, and we are proud of that. We want to be that, and we want to take, and we only are thinking though of one aspect of that, and that's eco-friendly to the turtles. Right. And fair discussion. But we also have to think about eco-friendly to our carbon footprint. So if you were to take amber, true amber, and distribute that across the island, in a uniform way to where you could actually see, despite the fact whether you like that color or not, we're talking some kind of yellow looking light. It's amber. It's
that's
amber.
The color.
That's the color.
The
amber,
color.
Violet. Let's say amber violet color. It looks like old sodium. It looks like if you've ever been around sodium, that orangish amber color. But if you could do that, we would actually be adding to the carbon footprint significantly to the island, because the study that you referenced, Ed, showed that there was about 150 existing fixtures today.
Right.
They made a recommendation that you could add about 80 more in a white LED, whatever the color is, 3000K, 4000, whatever you want to do, add about another 80. That would still have a relatively even carbon footprint because you're replacing older technology with newer technology at 130 lumens per watt, roughly. If you go amber, now you're going to have to add, let's say 400 fixtures. You're going to have to double or at least add another 200 to 400 fixtures. You're going to have to double the amount of fixtures.
And so people know when you say add that many, it's from Times Square to where?
To the end of the island.
All the way to the end of the island. Okay.
Yeah. So it would be.
And how is this adding to explain how it's adding to the carbon footprint and what that means?
Because again, you're taking the technology up there today is actually more efficient than an true amber LED at 35 to 50 lumens per watt. So you would be adding not only per fixture, it takes more energy to operate and produce light, plus you would be doubling the amount of fixtures that are on the island. So all I'm saying is that when we look at that solution, and I'm not saying it's a good or a bad solution, I don't know what the consultant's going to come back with. What I heard at that council meeting and what I think that I've heard since then is we want to look at, and I think what we've asked the consultant to look at is a dual light source, one that has white light and then amber light, so that you could have one during turtle season and one during non-turtle season. Sounds great, right? Who doesn't want to do that? Makes a lot of sense to me. Forget the cost. Forget the cost. It's a custom solution because no manufacturer does that. So it would be a custom solution, which anyone could do. But the challenge with that is to get amber, your design has to be based off of that lower light output. You can't produce as much light out of amber as you can out of white light. So you'd have to squeeze the fixtures in order to be able to make it work during a season of turtle season when you have amber going on. And then when it's not amber, you'd have to lower the amount of light that you got on the white light because it'd be way too much for the island. So it's a very complicated design, a very expensive design to do that. And it's one that's custom. So, the town would own the lighting. FPL would not own the lighting at that point.
So Jim, if you were...
What about, let me just ask, so we're talking about the original study by MPO, and then there was another consultant that came in, Sesco. So Sesco did a big presentation, and they kind of reviewed the original report and kind of made some comments about, some good things and some not good things. And so now, but they weren't chosen either. Did you get to see, have you seen?
Yeah, Kim, I only saw a little bit of the Sesco comment. Sesco is not a consultant, though. I will clarify that. Sesco is a lighting agent. So we have lighting agents. We have 90 lighting agents across the country. Have them here in Fort Myers, all across the country. Sesco is another lighting agent, just not one of ours. So they have people that are very knowledgeable about lighting, just like we do in our own company and elsewhere. And listen, there's a lot of opinion about lighting, right? So you got to take the opinion out. I think that, when you think about all that, it's very difficult because all that becomes confused. All the opinion and all the desires to do this or that. I'm worried about energy. I'm worried about turtles. I'm worried about the cost. I'm worried about who maintains it. You really just have to look at what the technology can do or not. Sesco will 100% agree with what I just said about amber lighting because that is just a reality of what the technology does.
Well, and I think one of the points that they brought up is something you were talking about. The option is to stay with FPL and their fixtures or to go and redo everything, and the town would then own the lights and own everything. But that's certainly a much bigger cost up front, but you own it and you're not paying every month, and then you can get what you want. And I guess the question that she brought up, or the town brought, is, does FPL have other options out there that are available to meet the needs or not? And I think that that's still what they're looking for, because there's also tariffs involved and funding that could be, if they go with FPL, to make it cost effective.
I mean, again, that's a little bit of opinion. We work with FPL, so I know their process, and FPL only limits the amount of fixtures because lighting is really an area you got to be careful of getting too far down into. A lot of manufacturers, a lot of them haven't been around very long. There's been a lot of lawsuits. There's been a lot of towns. Look up the city of Detroit. They had multi-million-dollar lawsuit recently because they installed a lighting system across Detroit, had horrible lighting. The lighting fixture started to fail. There was a bunch of lawsuits. They lost a lot of money. They got recuperated part of it. The reason FPL does that is they're very cautious about what fixtures they will recommend because they're liable for them. They're doing a lot of the background research and testing, for the municipalities. So I wouldn't, I think there's a lot of criticism to them. I think that some of that may be justified in the way that they communicate. I don't know. But their program's pretty good. And the fixtures they have on the program I've looked at, they're all good name brand manufacturers, including our own. They do have some amber, in certain type of areas that you would be able to use. But, I think that the town owning or FPL owning, and this is strictly my opinion. I think that the town is taking a huge risk to own their own lighting, just knowing what I know about lighting and the maintenance of that lighting throughout the years. And if you use a custom solution like a dual source that I was mentioning, who's to say whether that manufacturer is number one in business, in 10 years from now? And number two, even if they are in business, how are they going to make a custom solution that they created for you in 2021? So I think there's a lot of consideration that, the town will have to consider there.
So for people that don't know, the town right now has hired a consultant that they will pay up to $185,000, who has until the end of the year to come back. I believe it's to the end of the year to come back.
September. I'm not sure.
Sorry, it could be September. Come back with a plan, which is just a plan. It doesn't mean anything's going to start construction as far as lighting goes. So, Jim, my question to you is: if they go with amber, and it just seems to me that was what, at least from 2019, that they were pushing for. They didn't want anything else to do with any of the other lights at that time. Now, maybe they've changed in those 2 years, but if they go with amber, how close do those light poles need to be, and how low to the ground do they need to be to protect the turtles?
Well, they will have to be double what you have today. So, you look at what you have today, well, probably more than double. Now you've got 100. Again, I'm using the first consultant. I haven't gone out and counted fixtures, but
I don't mean the total number. I mean lengthwise, how close do the poles need to be?
I can't answer that question without a photometric layout, Ed, but it would have to be. Let me put it in these terms. A amber light, lights measured in lumens. I don't want to get too technical, but an amber light puts off, let's say, around 5,000 lumens. That's the most it can do because it's really sensitive to heat. And the hotter it gets and the harder you drive it, the less lumens it actually produces. It's a very different light source than any other LED. It's not like other LEDs. A standard LED, you can, instead of 5,000 lumens, you can do 30,000 lumens. So think of it that you're going to have the spread of that light that goes out, of the amount of lumens that it puts off. You're going to have a spread that's going to be a quarter. You're going to have 4 times as many fixtures to be able to get the same spread that you would get, because the key to lighting is you want, in the consultant, you want it consistent. You want uniformity.
Right.
You want to not go from a white light or an amber light to a dark light. You want to be able to have it consistent. It doesn't have to really be high output. It just has to be consistent lighting so your eyes don't have to adjust.
And one of the things he said in that presentation was, right now it's so dangerous for the driver because you have a light, then you have no light, and then you have a different light, and people's eyes are trying to adjust to it. Meanwhile, your eyes are trying to adjust. Somebody's crossing the street in the dark.
That's right.
You can't see anything.
Well, I think the other thing is there was comments, whether it was Dan that was on the show talking about, but someone was saying that some of the fixtures aren't even being used at this time. Now, I don't know if they're broken, but why aren't they putting lights? Why aren't bulbs going in unused fixtures, at least for now?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know if they have fixtures that are out there and they just haven't replaced them. That's an FPL issue to come out and replace them. But the other thing that I hadn't heard in conversation that I'm also interested to see if the consultant comes back with is, one other solution that I haven't heard talking about. I know the original consultant in 2019 talked about turning off lights, and you watched the
that did not go over well.
That didn't go over well.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
you hold on, just so people that are watching know. You mean changing the lights,
No.
right? Changing them from season to season. They did talk about that too, and Rexanne shot that right down.
You can't change lights season to season. You can have a dual light source, but LED, you don't. It's not a screw-in LED. It's integrated LED. But what he had mentioned was that there's some towns that will say, these fixtures are visible to the beach. So we're going to turn those off during turtle season.
Yeah.
See. And, I think one of the council members or someone said they didn't like that. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that's not a great thing. But there's another solution that FPL could do, and that would be to put them on a dimmer. We have wireless control systems that you can put a fixture in. You can control them wirelessly. So it's not only the color of light, but it's also the intensity of the light. So
and that is what Dan did talk about. Yep. When he was on, talked about, being able to, that the technology is out there to be able to bring them up and bring it down. It's controlled by someone here on the beach. So if there was an emergency and you needed them, you got to crank them up.
You could flash them during a period of emergency, or during the turtle season. You could, if you had good uniformity, let's say they designed it to a 1 foot candle, just, that amount of light that's put out. You could turn turtle season, drop it to half of that, and you would still have visibility because it's uniform. So wireless controls and dimming a whiter light, whatever color you choose, is also not a bad thought.
The other question I have too, when you have all those amber lights that you need more poles, I think everybody knows you need more poles. There are so many businesses and driveways along Estero Boulevard right now. Is it even possible to put enough poles up so that you have enough lighting at night without blocking a driveway or rearranging the sidewalks to the point where the light is continuing all the way down the road?
That's a good question. I don't know that there is for amber.
Sorry. Yeah.
What was
that?
Was
because you said good question.
Yeah, well, that's our little game that I've got a good question.
I thought we were getting another drink. I wasn't sure. I think that for a wider light that has more output and more distribution, I think the answer to that is yes. On the poles that you have, you might have to add a few poles, but it would be minimal, and I don't think the cost associated with that would be more. And one advantage, by the way, we have, I think, on the island is, you think about this. When you think about the turtles, you put the poles; they're on the Gulf side, so they're directing light away from the turtles. Yeah. So think about what the situation would be if the lights were on the other side and we were directing them there. So it's an advantage that we have. But I don't think you'd have a problem on the pole situation with the white. I think you raise a good point. If you go amber and now your density has to be much greater, that'll be something the consultant has to look at.
I might be simplifying this more, and I certainly don't need $185,000 to come up with this, but we have an FPL light in the middle of our yard in the front. And it was bright. It's very bright because we want it to be bright on the road, but it was also so bright that the neighbors in the neighborhood behind us they lodged a complaint. So FPL came out and they put a shield on the back of the light, and it was like total darkness on that side. How come you can't come up with something that doesn't cost $10 million, that is an LED light that has a shield to the point where you use a dimmer, but the shield covers enough of the light that it shines down to keep people safe, and it never, ever goes behind toward the turtles?
Ring that bell again, Ed, because that's another great question.
There
and I'll tell you the difference, because probably the light that you have at your house is not an LED, first of all. So older technology, we take a standard glob of light, an HID light, and then we try to shape that light. We have a lot of different ways of trying to shape the light to put it in a direction. Then we have to put shielding on the back of it to where that we can add more, to keep light from going through. LED is directional. So you do need less of that always, just because you're putting the light exactly where you want it. We measure backlight, the light that comes off. This is a measurement you have in lighting. It's called bug, B-U-G. It's not bugs. It's not no-see-ums, but it's backlight. How much light comes behind the fixture? It's uplight, what goes into the skies for dark skies, to be able to keep that. And then it's glare. How much glare do you get? Which angle is the light fixed? So if you can get a good fixture that's got a good bug rating, you typically don't need shielding. However, we do still have shielding for LED lights. So if you have one area that no matter what you did, because it was too high or whatever, you still had visibility, you could shield the back of it and keep the turtles from being able to see it.
But I guess I'm confused as to why you can't come up with a fixture. Not you, but why there isn't a fixture. It's a unique situation, it seems, because it's still dark at night, where the light shines on the road and 100% is black behind it.
You can. That's what I'm saying.
So then why is it so complicated then?
It's not complicated. I don't know why. I don't know why we're making it more complicated, but we have lights with no backlight and puts the light on the road. and you could have a good uniformity throughout the system. So
Do you think it's because the people that perhaps the turtle folks don't understand that the white lights can be okay?
I do think that it's because that there's a lot of emotion. As I said before, we all love turtles. And sometimes we think if we just say everything, I mean, I heard on that same comment, Ed, that people were saying, well, we make the people in the buildings use amber, so why wouldn't we make the town?
Big
Well,
difference.
that's not a good argument. I mean, because the turtles can see the lighting over there.
Right.
If the turtles can't see this over here, why would you want to use a lighting that actually contributes significantly to our carbon footprint, cost us more money, and and millions of dollars? I mean, to be able to put that in is going to be very expensive.
But to your point, I mean, maybe the options have not been explained so that everybody can understand what they are and how that will be. That's the thing. I mean, the folks, and there's many folks besides the organizations that love the turtles. So I think it is incumbent on whoever's presenting to fully explain things so that they know the options.
That's why you have a $200,000 town manager who's supposed to go out and get all the information that he can bring back to the town council so they can see it. Instead, he just sits there with his thumb up his nose, figuring how many people are going to vote one way or the other way just to keep his job until he's ready to go to Belize after his contract runs out, or hopefully he gets fired before that. But isn't that his job? His job is to go out to all these different municipalities or to work with FPL, because his legacy will be he came into office, or he came to Fort Myers Beach without lights, and he's going to leave without lights because there's no way those lights are going to be built with him as the town manager. And that should be the number one priority. It's so unsafe out there. It is so unsafe. And yet it's just seems like, oh, by the way, what's going on with the lights? Well, did you want me to bring FPL in? It's almost criminal to me that isn't the top priority for that council.
I agree, Ed. I mean, and I also agree with Kim.
Thank you.
I do, because I think that you're welcome. I think that the well-intentioned folks, don't understand. There's always pluses and negatives of every decision. And right now it's just a matter of taste. What do I like? Do I like this or that? And and there's an old saying: in a matter of taste, there is no dispute. Well, I can't argue if you want this over here. But what I can do is say, if you want amber, and by the way, I don't know if you know why you have to have amber on a road that's going to be shining just on the road and not on the dunes, then here are the trade-offs. Here's the cost. Here's what's going to happen to the island. Here's the way you see lighting through that type of an older technology light source. Again, don't confuse that with LED that we use in other lighting. A limited bandwidth LED amber is not the same. Totally two different technologies. It's apples and oranges. So they need to understand the decision, to do that and what it impacts here and how it impacts the environment. Because again, Ed, you can only have 4 hamburgers right now a year, right? You're only going to get 2 if we increase the carbon footprint. So we need to make sure that we consider that part of it. And I don't think any of us care. Well, I don't want to say that. I don't think it's a cost decision. I don't think that's really, even though I know there's a lot of cost, I don't think that's the reason that we want to make the decision that would be best for the island. Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying that there's a lot of factors from technology that everybody should understand before they just take one position or another. It's not really a matter of taste. It's a matter of what works best and what can be done on the island. So
right now there's another consultant that's been hired, and that's an independent, different than Sesco, which is a company.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So, what is that person or persons going to do? What are the objectives that they're trying to get accomplished?
I mean, I don't know all of the factors that they were tasked with. I did look at the RFP.
Okay.
And the RFP did list the previous consultant's design, because they did do a good job on identifying all of the fixtures. They put a lot of stuff together. So they're using that RFP to come back. We've had a meeting with them on the stakeholders group, had a meeting with them.
And who is it? Can you say the name?
The
consultant?
Yeah, it's called Town Lighting. It's a company called Red Ink is actually the company. They're doing business as Town Lighting. So they had a call with us, and then we just kind of talked about what different things were important to us. From a stakeholders, what is important to you? So we all just kind of spewed all that out. I didn't, they didn't really talk a lot about what the primary objective was. However, I did go back and look at the council video that was from November 4th, 2019, where I could see after the first consultant did it, and then after the council met, they asked Roger to go back and get someone else to come in and look at amber lights. So I do believe, and again, I don't know this for certain, but I think they are tasked with looking at the solution of amber lighting for the roadway.
For sure. And here's the other thing, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but the other thing that gets irritating when you watch those meetings is, they want to lay blame on the county. Why isn't the county involved more? Or FPL's monopoly, they don't really care. Well, you guys, they have not put together. I'm sure the county wants it to be safer, but you incorporated. You guys want it to be your own government, and now because something is going awry, you want to blame the county for it. It was crazy to watch that. Well, how about you put together a plan? How about you come up with 3 different ideas, and then you bring it to the county, or go to Ray Sandelli and say, we've got 3 ideas. We want you guys to pay 50%, or we want you guys to pay a certain amount. Yet it's just like the relationship with Lee County doesn't exist. They don't go to any of their meetings. They don't participate at any of their board meetings to make it seem like the relationship is getting any better. But they want to blame the county. And so come up with a plan. And here we are again with another consultant. I know Ray will say this is really the first consultant, but whatever. I mean, you can't really blame it on Lee County. You're incorporated. This is your town. Come up with an idea to fix it before you blame it on Lee County or blame FBL for being. I know, but when you watch, you folks, you have to watch the 2019 meeting, because that really it told a big story at that meeting. You can really see there was some confusion, but they really felt like the only way to go is amber lighting at the time. Now it's been 2 years, so maybe they've changed things, or maybe they'll find out. So the question I have for you.
All right, but I don't think it was that I think my impression of that meeting was that they were expecting to get another option besides the white lighting. And I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but they wanted to have that as an option, and that wasn't provided by that engineering company, but they weren't tasked with that either.
Right.
In defense of them, that was not what they were asked to do. They were asked to give.
My conclusion from that meeting was they wanted amber lights.
I think they wanted to be able to have the information to consider it, and
I think it was because maybe they don't really understand the technology. Perhaps you can do it without amber lights, and you don't have to. How many millions of dollars would it cost to install amber lights to the point where it's safe on a Boulevard?
Well, according to their report, it would be 688 fixtures and approximately 7.7 million. That was in that MPO report.
So that's why, another reason why it's important to pay attention. Your taxes will go up. I mean, where's that money coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the reason that they did that is they listened to the people. You asked the public to come in and talk to the council. The public did come in. They represented pretty strongly at that meeting, with Turtle Time and other people.
Sure.
They have a great voice to be able, that should be considered. The flip side of that argument is that you had a consultant there, and this guy really does know what he's talking about. I mean, he's done a lot of lighting, and he had one proposal that, working through FPL, that would have been pretty much of a net zero cost, to the island. But, they want to look at another solution with amber. So I think that's, why we are where we are right now. And, maybe they'll come up with something that, is going to totally blow me away. But I think that what we're going to find is that amber's hard.
Well, and they may find that, but then at least they have the information.
That's right.
They can look at the 2 or 3 options, and they may end up going back to the original thing, but at least everything's been looked at. And I think that's what their point was.
That might be the point. What my complaint is, here we are, it's going to be at least 3 more years after that meeting on the 19th, where I think it should have been a priority, and it wasn't.
Well, you also had COVID in there.
The other thing that I hope that, depending on what decision is made and, what the consultant recommends, and then what we end up going with, if we do go with a similar solution to what the original consultant recommended, they did have a lot of incentive from FPL, from a carbon footprint incentive, and that was paying for most of it. So the question is going to be, is that opportunity still there? And I don't know the answer to that.
What is your best recommendation?
I mean, again, part of this is my own personal preference.
Sure.
But I really think that my personal preference would be pretty much going to what the option 2 was from the original consultant, because I just know the technology limitations of doing a true amber across the island. So replacing all of the fixtures with a good LED light source with high cutoff, maybe shielding in the areas where you identify any potential to get to the dunes, lowering the total carbon footprint of the island, by the way, when you do that, adding those other fixtures that you would need. So he said you would need to add about 85. You could add 85, still have probably lower carbon footprint. You should be able to do that with no impact to the turtles. That's my ideal situation of what I would like to see possible. And then argue the color again, because there's people that like 3000K, there's people that like 4000K, whatever. I don't really care.
What is it feasible to test a couple of lights, not during turtle season, but during the off season, where you take that option and you have a couple of the poles and you're testing that out? Is that a possibility at all, rather than?
I mean, you can put lights in anytime you want. Sure. So I mean, yeah, I mean, again, putting a couple lights in, they're going to look great. They're going to be white. They're going to look great as long as they're spaced properly. They're going to have good uniformity. Being able to see through light is the other thing. So it is true that the higher the light color temperature, the higher it gets, the brighter it gets, the closer it gets to what we see outside in daylight, the better our eyes see through it. So that is also a factor. I think I sent you a picture of an amber lighting that we're doing up in the St. Pete area right now. And, it's hard to see through that lighting. It's just not quite the same. So when it's necessary for turtle habitat, we should do it. When it's not necessary, when you can do it in other ways, then the more responsible decision is to do other lighting.
Let me see if I have that light so
Do you
people
think
can see
that
that. Is that the light there? Hold on, dear. Is that the amber light there?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's a good brand new LED amber lighting system that's installed. So it's good uniformity when you look at it. I mean, the lighting is pretty even across those fixtures.
I don't think you can see anything.
But it's hard to see through it. That's the point.
That doesn't look like it looks pitch dark to me.
And they don't put off a lot of light. Amber just doesn't put off a lot of light. And then the light color that it puts off is hard to see through. So those are the two challenges. If you need it to save turtles, we should do it. If you can do it in other ways, we should do it in other ways. That's my opinion, Dan.
What is your prediction on when we'll actually see lights on Estero Boulevard?
Not until next year, for sure. At best case, 2022. And that's if we can make a decision after the consultant comes back. And, if we do a solution that's got some standard off the shelf with FPL, it'll happen pretty quickly. If it's a custom solution where a manufacturer has to develop something, and then 2022 is best case scenario.
Any other questions, dear?
I don't think so.
When is your next stakeholders meeting?
I don't think I've seen a meeting invite yet.
All right.
We put enough light on the subject.
You have completely ran everybody off.
I know.
I think it's kind of in between.
Okay.
Well, Jim, thanks so much. Unless you think we missed anything.
I think you hit it all
man.
good.
Thanks a lot. Jim Hockett, everybody. Big hand for Jim for coming on. We appreciate Jim telling us all about the lights. And, dear, you're going to read about the pots. Well, you know what I do. Stand by, everybody. We'll be back with some trivia in a second.
All right. So you're going to go to the restroom? You're going to go to the potty. Well, those pots are not what we're talking about. We're talking about beach pottery. I don't need to move on there. 1780 San Carlos Boulevard, just on the way down to Fort Myers Beach. You'll see them on the right as you come down. They have, as Ed always likes to make a point of, imported from Vietnam, and they have thousands of pots there. They also have furniture. They also have wood sculptures that someone carves in the back. But when you go by there, the front, they have some pots. But when you go through there, pull in there, take a walk through the back, there are so many different pots, and they're amazing colors. They're all different sizes. You can get a pot to fill anything. You can get it customized with your name on the front. Again, like he said, always from Vietnam, which is where he wants to go. And quite frankly, folks, I wouldn't mind sending him there. So if we could get a GoFundMe account, we can send him over there so he can see the Vietnamese pots. That would be great. They have over an acre of pots, artwork, furniture that's from Vietnam and Mexico. I don't want to leave them out. They have the outdoor furniture that is made recyclable. It lasts for, I think she said up to 20. Yes, a 20-year warranty on the furniture, and that looks great. Where can you get a 20-year warranty on anything these days? They have 90 pieces in the collection with 26 custom colors, so you can get whatever color you want to match your house. There's the chainsaw guy that's on the property, and he's out back. I went and saw them. That was amazing. He sits there with the chainsaw, cuts all these carvings from wood by hand. No design. You know, they do pelicans. They do. They'll do anything. Manatee, you're tripping over my cord. I asked everybody to get together to chip in and send you to Vietnam so that you could take a trip there. Can you get off the cord? Okay, you're not going to get off the cord. All right, well, welcome back. I don't nearly do them justice like you do.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And
I hate it when you do that.
much better. How did it go with your ad there?
That's not good.
What do you think of
It's not good news.
the lighting situation?
I think you're a little too hard on everybody because I think that the situation is really complicated now. And I also think that COVID really threw a wrench in things too.
Everybody was still working during COVID. So I guess when I look back at those meetings back then, or at that meeting back then, and I see that was a perfect, setup for let me get as much information as I can. I just think that issue should be the number one issue. And, listening to Bruce talk about it the way he was talking about it in that meeting, I mean, I do miss Bruce about that because he was constantly harping on the lighting, and he was ready to go with that plan. And he said, he called Ray out when Ray was saying, we have to stop the people from crossing the street and we have to slow down the traffic, when it has nothing to do with that. What we have here is you have the turtles against the people. And that is exactly it is
not the turtles against the people. It's the turtles and the people.
Okay.
It's the turtles and the people, and both need to be considered.
I agree.
But
that's what. But the turtles are winning right now because
the turtles, everybody is going to win in the end.
I'm not saying I don't want the turtles to win or anything like that, but it doesn't seem like
anybody winning. It's about finding a solution that meets the needs for the turtles.
Okay, then why do you think it's taking so long?
I think they want it. They need to get all the information. I think, like I said, when the council met back in 2019 and had that presentation, I think they thought they were going to get a different presentation than they got. And when they didn't get any options presented on Amber, which again was not that guy's fault that did the presentation, that was not what he was tasked with. But in any event, they decided to pursue.
Dear, just to make it clear, he wasn't even a town hired consultant.
No, wasn't a consultant. No,
he was just there to make he looked like he was there to make a presentation about the information that was already out there, and that they were going to start down a path to try and come up with some kind of lighting solution. And it just seemed like it died somewhere. It died on the vine somewhere.
Well, they need to have all, as I said, I think they want to have and should have every option looked at. Here's this option A, B, C, D, whatever they are, this light, that light, here's the cost. And then you just sit there and make the decision. What's best of the options that you have at the moment?
Okay. I don't think we're getting
the technology that's out there.
I don't think we're getting anywhere.
Well, we don't know anything.
All right. Thanks to Jim for coming on. Let's get to some trivia questions now, dear. And don't forget tonight, folks.
I had some old trivia questions too.
We're going to be at Shuckers tonight from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary, and you have to get dressed up like a gangster or flipper tonight. And if whatever, flapper, flipper. And I don't think you really need to get dressed up, but it would be kind of cool. It's a casino night, I guess, right? It's a casino night. Yeah. So they're going to be doing, how are they going to do that? I know Brian explained it last week. You buy something, and is it fake money or is it real money, or is it, can't be real money?
It's fake money. You come in, I think there's a minimal, I don't want to get it
Some
wrong.
kind of donation.
Just come in, buy your tickets, buy your funny money, and have a good time.
All right, question number 1. For those of you that are out there that won last week, please try and let the others win. We want to spread the love around. We have more gift certificates to give away. So let's start with a gift certificate to our next door neighbors, Margaritas. And here's your question. The first person to type in the right answer in the Facebook chat box is going to win a gift certificate to Margaritas. What famous Major League Baseball slugger frequented the island doing ads for Sears from its test base across the bridge, fishing the bay, and visiting our Little League? Of course, Little League is big down here, as you know.
Yes, it is. I'm
What
looking for my
famous
glasses.
Major League Baseball player? He's no longer alive.
I don't
he
even
thought,
wanna guess.
I believe he thought he could freeze his head in ice and still live. That might give you a hint. If I'm right, that might give. What are you all staring at me for? You're trying to figure out who it is? Famous baseball player. He is in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, which is where?
Cooperstown,
That's
New
right.
York.
So if you know who that Hall of Fame baseball player is, and he was a world-class hitter. No, John Lalo is wrong. Yes, I believe he. Hey, Mitch, you are correct, Mitch. A big round of applause for Mitch
Write down the name, dear.
from our artificial studio audience. I don't have a pen. Very good. The answer is Ted Williams. So, Mitch, you are the first winner. I'm going to write your name down here because we don't want to screw that up. All right. The second question to Pete Rose. Oh, come on, Jocelyn. Pete Rose. Babe Ruth was another answer. Very, very nice try, Nancy. I don't even know why I'm laughing because that's a very good guess. So, wait, Jay was first. Oh, sorry, Mitch. I didn't even
this
see
is
Jay
why
won.
It's not good.
Jay won first. I'm going to write Jay's name down. Jay, you are the winner. Good call, John, out there. All right, here we go again. Number 2. What was the first pizza made and sold on Fort Myers Beach? Not what, because it was a pizza. Where was the first pizza made on Fort Myers Beach? This is a good one. This is a good one. These are courtesy of Lee Melsick. That's a good
Was
one,
it
Lee.
Nettie's spaghetti?
Get out of here with your cheat sheet. Cut the crap.
These were our old questions.
No, it was
All right.
not. Where was the first pizza made and sold here on Fort Myers Beach? It kind of is, huh? I can't see. I can't.
Stella's?
No, that's not right. It has a little bit of relevance from last weekend. If you know what happened last weekend, what closed down, there's a connection there. Look at me. I'm like
the
the Fort
mermaid.
Myers Beach history buff here.
Well, that's what
No,
I'm saying.
Judy, Pizza Hut. Come on, Judy. What is wrong with you? Was there ever a Pizza Hut on the beach? Oh, there used to be. Sorry, Judy. See, I didn't even know that. There used to be a Pizza Hut on the
I
beach.
think it was Nettie's.
Come
and
on,
then
you
the Surf
people.
Club,
You
and then it became
The
the
Surf
Mermaid.
Club. Very nice. You can't keep winning the prizes, dear. Cut it out. It was the Surf Club. All right, J1 from Margaritas. Nobody wins that one because you're not.
It doesn't sound like a pizza place to me.
Betty, that's close enough. We're going to give it to Betty Nunali. Hope I said your name right, Betty. Where was. Yeah. What do you know? You don't know. All right, here's question number 3, everybody. When did local television arrive on the island and the rest of Lee County? It was Wink. What year was it? See, this now you can guess at it now. It was in the 50s.
Guess what I was going to guess?
Yes.
54.
I am not going to say whether she's right or whether she's wrong. It is the local television station. It is still around now, Wink TV.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know what year. Cut it out. Being like that.
By the way, if that was correct, I just pulled it out of thin air.
1954, Jeffrey Van Dyke. Oh, yes, Jeffrey. Very nice.
Jeffrey stole my
Jeffrey
answer.
Van Dyke. It was 1954. We're going to give Jeffrey a gift certificate to, let's see, what do we have left here? Oh, my microphone, please.
Okay.
Sidekick. All right. Oh, thank you. We have one for Jay and one for Betty and one for Jeffrey. Okay, we have 2 left. 2 left, everybody. We're still keeping these numbers high, dear. Can you believe that? Give me my prize. Give my prize to Mitch. All right, Jay is going to give us. Now you're going to confuse me. I'm going to have to go back through all the comments. All right. Are you ready, people? I know you're on the edge of your seat with this trivia. It is kind of fun to know
Go
all
ahead.
this stuff. Why are you laughing?
I'm just waiting. I'm looking away from the sheet because I want to see if I can get it right.
Here we go, everybody. What was the original name of the north end of Bonita Beach?
The
Oh,
north
wow.
end.
It has to do with crabs. What was the original name of the north end of Bonita Beach?
Crustacean?
I wonder if Lee knows these questions without having to look them up, or if he just reels. I mean, he just sent me like a whole sheet of new ones after last week. I said, Lee, you really stumped them last week because they were kind of hard. And I'm sure he thinks they're pretty easy for him because he's,
I got our easy ones over here.
Yeah. What was the original name of the north end of Bonita Beach?
Bonita Beach?
Yeah. Isn't that what I said? Yeah. What was the original name of the north end of Bonita Beach? So let's see if anyone gets that.
Oh, I thought you meant this beach.
So next week we have somebody lined up from Lover's Key.
Okay.
They, by the way,
the Discovery
that's
Center?
in 2 weeks. But next week on the 15th is the opening of the Lover's Key Discovery Center. So I imagine it's going to be a big deal down there in Lover's Key, which is really considered Bonita. They officially got the zip code in Bonita. So
now we're trying to figure out what the north end of Bonita Beach is.
Come on, everybody. We have no guesses, so we're not gonna go on forever. It was called Fiddlerville. Of course. Jay guesses Hickory Island, but no, it was called Fiddlerville. I had no idea about that, and I'm sure neither did you, dear. All right. What was the island's shoreline called in the 20s, 30s, and 40s? What was the island's? I'm going to just give this answer away because I don't think anyone's going to get
Crescent
this.
Beach?
It was called a state road, is what he says. All right. Why don't you ask one of your questions so we can give these prizes away? We have 2 prizes left.
Were the...
This one's to Laola, everybody. Laola. She can't even read her own writing.
I know I can't. Who were the Native Americans on Estero Island? What's the name of the Native Americans that were first on Estero Island? This should be easy, folks.
Yes, it should be easy.
It should be easy.
Brenda is watching. And has
Do you
something.
know?
Does it have something to do with the Mound House now? The Caloosahatchee Indians. Is that right? Is that right?
You're so
yes,
close.
John, stop answering. We're not giving you prizes. All right, come up with another one, dear.
Oh, gosh. But I think it's a...
Calusa. All right, Judy wins. We'll give it to Judy. Very good, Judy. I'm sure you were typing when you didn't even see John's answer. Judy wins. One more, dear. We have one more to give away. One more trivia. Why are you guys staring at me?
Well, I don't know. This is what I have, so I don't know if people are going to be right. Or I don't know if the answer I have is right.
Well, we love to do trivia questions that have the wrong answer, so go right ahead.
The first hotel on the beach.
Oh, the first hotel on the beach. And it was not...
everybody's thinking.
Was it the Lani Kai?
No.
It seems like it is. The damn thing's so old, it's ready to fall down. This one's for Tuckaway. The answer is the winner is going to win a prize package to the Tuckaway Cafe, another one of our awesome sponsors. We love the folks at the Tuckaway Cafe. Laola Bar Tabs. No, John, what are you talking about now? John's, he's obviously having margaritas at home on the dock with his lovely bride or something.
What I have here is 1912.
What?
Demolished in 1975 for condos.
Oh, not the pink shell, right?
Nope.
All right.
Yeah, it was demolished in 1975
The
1975
Beach Hotel?
The Beach Hotel.
Very nice, Louise. Louise gets a round of applause from our artificial audience. Louise is going.
Fair, I also had the Winkler Hotel in Pier, but I'm not sure why those two are there. Maybe one changed its name, but
Louise,
the Beach Hotel.
London. Is she from London? Louise
All
wins
right.
a gift certificate to the Tuckaway Cafe. Thank you so much for playing our silly little trivia game and putting up with our hour-and-a-half long show. And of course, if you haven't had enough of our show today, we're going to be back on tonight at 6 o'clock live from... Yes, can we help you? We're live on the air now. We're on the show. Can you please
running the other way. All right, come on.
All right, everybody.
Go.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate everything. And thanks to our guests, and thanks to our sponsors, and thank you to all of you for being there for us. Without you, we'd just be 2 happy people at home, sitting out by the pool every weekend and never leaving the house. So we will see you later on tonight at 6 o'clock. Light them up.